I'm Amy Collette with Unleash Your Inner Author. And I deeply believe in a world where we as thought leaders can make deep human connections and massive, powerful impact by sharing our stories of transformation. And maybe that sounds simple, but that's where it starts. That's how humans connect. We as humans swap stories every time we meet someone new. Just think about the last time you got to know somebody. Maybe it was a friend of a friend at a brewery, or a new client sitting down to coffee. Maybe you're bringing on a new team member and you want to get to know who they really are. That's when you start asking questions. Where are you from? What's important to you? What do you like to do? How did you get here? How did you get to where you are now? And while there's a lot of places, a lot of levels that you can answer that question on, we usually don't go to those deeper levels of really the story that got us to where we are now. You can say, I started off at so-and-so company and I switched careers and I did this, and then I became an entrepreneur, then I became an author, then I became a thought leader. But there's a whole lot more story there. There's a lot of passion behind that story. There's maybe some pain and some trauma, but there's some real stories behind there that we don't always tell. And maybe we should. I think as thought leaders, we need to share some of that pain. And while that's easy for me to say, when I had to do it, it scared me to death. It was terrifying. So when I went to write my book, The Gratitude Connection, I realized that maybe I needed to get vulnerable. Maybe I needed to really share what I call the mess behind the success. How I got to a level of happiness and transformation that I never dreamed of, really. I was going to have to get naked on that stage. Has anybody ever felt as a speaker that you sort of get up on stage and you have to just kind of take the robe off, be naked to the world, and reveal yourself? If you've ever felt naked, give me a naked comment. I want to know if you've ever felt sort of that raw and vulnerable feeling of being open to everyone's judgment, to everyone's like or dislike. Maybe they'll like you, maybe they won't. You're putting yourself up there to be judged that way. And that's real vulnerability. And while that's terrifying, and it was terrifying for me to be that way when I decided to write my book, I had to get through it. And what got me through that terror and fear was that I felt compelled. I had stories to share that I knew helped me and helped other people that I was coaching. And so it's kind of selfish to keep them to myself. So I just kept on. And I was hoping and praying that it would help somebody. And it turns out, when the book came out, it really did. Even though that was several years ago, I still get thank you cards telling me what an impact that my book made on people. People come up to me and they want to hug me. Of course, this was before all the virus stuff. But they want to hug me because they feel like they know me already when they've read the book. Because I've been that upfront and personal and raw and real and naked, that they feel like they know me. And they want to get to know me. They want me to know them. I've built that connection. I've made that powerful human connection, even in the written word. It might seem like a one-way relationship, but it's really not. Because when we tell our stories and we get raw and real and naked, people see themselves in our stories. That's where the magic happens. That's where the real connection happens. Whether it's sitting in a brewery having a beer or in a huge room speaking to people, that's where the magic happens. That's where the real human connection takes place. But before we do that, I think we're all terrified. I know I was, and every author I work with, we all share the same fears. We all feel like someone's gonna hate it, no one's gonna read it, they're not gonna like it if they do, maybe we're gonna offend somebody. But you know what? That's a lot of fear. It's a lot of power to give over to something that hasn't even happened yet. So why do we give over so much power to fear? How can we take it back? That's the question. How do we grab that energy, embrace it, and take it back, own it, so that we can take it and magnify it and make those connections, make the impact that we really want to make? Well, that is the big question for authors, for speakers, for thought leaders in general. How do we do that? So I teach a program called Unleash Your Inner Author. It helps people get that story, what I call your legend, out into the world in a way that is transformative for the people who are reading it. So, taking back the power, let's dig into that. So out of my program, my Unleash Your Inner program, it's a whole system and a framework, but I've kind of boiled it down into 3 main points. The first one is align yourself with your mission. And then this isn't just a mission statement that people spout off the top of their heads that this is what their company stands for. This is you. This is what's at your core, your mission. The second is connect with your soulmate tribe. Rather than thinking of it as your target market or your ideal reader or your ideal client, I think of it as your soulmate tribe. And I even have a visual. Instead of a target, it's concentric hearts. And your soulmate people are right there in the middle. So that's who you want to figure out how to connect with. Number 3 is unleash your inner legend. Realize how much power that your story has behind it. So going back to number 1, align yourself with your mission, with your values. So I realized I needed to do this when I wrote my book, The Gratitude Connection. Here it is, The Gratitude Connection. I knew I was putting myself on the line, telling my real raw stories. So why was I going to do that? What was my mission in doing that? Well, I wanted to help people. I wanted to make an impact. But my mission, when I get right to it, it sounds too big to even say, but I'm going to say it. My mission is to help raise the positive vibration of the planet. That's pretty audacious. So I want to hear your mission. If you want to get raw and vulnerable and naked right now, share your mission in the comments. Let's see it. Let's see how big and how wonderful, how fabulous and passionate your mission is. So once I got clear on my mission, it opened up the world to me. I thought all those little fears that were nagging at me, now I can take some of those back because I'm clear on my mission. If someone doesn't like it, that's okay. That's my mission. And I'm going to speak to the people who that speaks to. And that takes me to number 2. Connect with your soulmate tribe. So, do you know who your soulmate tribe is? You might be talking about people that you want to bring onto your team. It might be clients, it might be customers, it might be your actual soulmate, your partner in life that you want to connect with. How are you going to meet them? How are you going to connect with these people who you're going to have a heart connection with? You're going to be giving your heart, you're going to want to know what they're all about. So, my story about that is this author, Lauren Danielle, she wrote a book called Get Off the Curb. And it's about how she got up and off the curb many, many times since she was a kid. And how this skill, as painful as it was to learn, how that skill has helped her transform her life. And now helps her help others transform their lives. That's what her business is all about. So Lauren is a very successful, very brilliant businesswoman who everybody thinks maybe had a silver spoon in her mouth, and she was just, she just made this rise naturally. Well, it didn't happen that way for her. She started at rock bottom when she started in this business that she's doing now. And she came from a place of trauma and of pain. Well, when she started building this business, it took off astronomically. Her growth was just exponential. And then after a while, after a few years, it kind of leveled off, hit a little of a plateau. And she thought, you know what? I want to go bigger. I want to go bigger. And that means I need to claim more of my power, more of my story, more of the impact that I want to make in the world. So she came to me and she decided that she wanted to write her book and really tell her story. And I have to admit, even reading some of the raw stuff that she wrote before it was edited, it made me cry. And every time I read it, it would affect me. It's very powerful stuff. And the same month that she published her book, she got this amazing opportunity to speak in front of a national conference. And you speakers, you'll relate to this, how big this is. She spoke in front of over 10,000 people at one time. That's a ginormous room to begin with. She's this little tiny blip up on the stage and in front of a huge jumbotron of her face. And she's telling a story that she tells in the book. And she's got that crowd of thousands in the palm of her hand. Because she's telling them the story of how broken she was, of the pain and abuse and neglect that she came from, where she learned the story that she brought with her, that she learned was that she was a loser, that she made poor decisions, that her brash personality would never be able to connect with people in an authentic way, and it might never change. So you know what that means? It means that she felt she didn't belong. Who's ever felt that way? If you've ever felt that way, give me a #belong in the comments. I think everybody's felt that way at some point. So now everybody in that crowd of 10,000 is seeing themselves in her story. Some of them you can see in the video, they're wiping tears because they see themselves so much in her story. Their hearts are wide open with empathy and compassion for this person that they just thought was a rock star and it was easy for. It wasn't easy. That's where she came from. But she took that story and she flipped it around. She took all that negative energy and all that stuff, owned it, took it back, and made something magnificent from it. Because her brash, bold personality is what allows her to get up on stage in front of 10,000 people and to build real connections on stage or one-on-one. And her driven personality is because she felt like she didn't belong. And she doesn't want to ever have anyone else feel that way. So she wants them to be part of her tribe where they do belong. So you can imagine the energy when she blows open their minds now that this possibility is for them too. It's not just her story. It's everyone's story. If they do the things that they need to do, this world of possibility is open to them too. So by the end of her talk, Lauren's got people like jumping up and down, excited out of their minds with the realm of possibility that is now much bigger than when they walked in that room. So you can imagine what happened with her connections. Now people didn't just want to partner with her and be part of her team to grow to be a kind of leader that she was, but they want her to be their best friend because they know now she's not just a mentor for business, she's a mentor for life. And she's going to have their back no matter what. She's gotten off the curb and she wants them to get off the curb too. Whew! There's really powerful stuff. So she met her people, she met her tribe where they live. She knew their pains, she connected with them personally. And you can imagine what happened to her business and her book. Both of those started a meteoric rise again. So she's just a perfect example of connecting with your soulmate tribe. So, number 3 is unleash your inner legend. And that legend is all that backstory. It's your backstory as a leader. As a thought leader, you haven't gotten here by hiding. You've been out there, you've been driving, you've been building success and building a team and building passion in other people. So how did you get to your passion? And what's your unique perspective? Nobody else has that perspective in the universe. It's only you. It comes from how you've taken all the things you've learned and made your own stories and probably made your own transformation out of it so that you can be where you are now and doing the hard work it takes to be a speaker and a thought leader. So I want to tell you a story about another author. Her name is Amy Simpkins, and she wrote this beautiful book called Spiral. I kind of match it. Spiral. The subtitle is A Catalyst for Innovation and Expansion. I just love that title because it gives you this world of possibility. You're wondering what's going on in there. And she has this really unique way that she makes her passions come together. Her passions are engineering and creativity. They might seem like really different worlds, but I'll tell you more about that. In the book Spiral, she talks about how they meld perfectly, and that is the spiral, is how they work together. So engineering provides this design framework, this structure, and when that's in place, then you can go in there and you can have the room to expand. You can have the room to find creativity, to find innovation and collaboration, and do this over and over again until it gets to where you want it to be. And it's a fascinating dance. It's actually the same thing that I use in Unleash Your Inner Author, where the Unleash Your Inner Author system is a structure. It's the framework so that you can put all those things together that you might not know about, but it's including aligning with your mission, connecting with your soulmate people, and unleashing that story in a way that people can get that transformation that you desire for them, and they can raise their own vibration. So when you learn the legend behind the leader, it makes their story that much more impactful. So Amy's story illustrates that beautifully. So Amy started out with her passion at 12 years old. That's 6th grade here in the US. You're still pretty much a kid. But she caught on fire about the space program when she was 12 years old, and she saw herself in that story. She saw herself in space as an astronaut. And this wasn't some airy-fairy dream, where she just wanted the cool helmet or something. She wanted to actually be in space. And so every decision that she made about where she went to school, who she worked with, who she got as mentors, everything was designed to help her meet that goal of becoming an astronaut. And she did it. She went to MIT and graduated with honors. She's an aeronautical engineer who has designed programs for NASA. She's amazing. So now, when you know that she is an engineer, she's working in a different aspect now. She is the CEO of an alternative energy company. So she uses that spiral every day in designing alternative energy to help impact climate change and to help with solar energy, building these huge grids. This is what she does. So when you understand that she comes from the aspect of wanting to be an astronaut, it makes things different because you see her perspective. So let me get back to her astronaut story. So she's checked off all the boxes that she needs to become an astronaut. And the time comes, she's been working in the world for several years, the time comes for her to apply to be an astronaut. And she fills out the application, and she has all the credibility. She's got all the credentials, all the education, all the work experience, all the right things in place. And she goes to hit the submit button, and she's just not feeling it that day. She says, well, that was a lot of work. Maybe I'm tired. I'll come back the next day. And she did that for the next 2, 3, 4 days. She couldn't hit that submit button. So she took some time for introspection. And she went deep inside. And she realized that that dream that she had as a 12-year-old was no longer her dream. She had a different dream. So that's when she left, and she decided to make an impact in a different way. And now when you know her backstory of all the things she did, you realize that Amy Simpkins had the perspective of space, of the universe, when she started on this mission. So now you realize, when you hear her speak or read her book, that she wants to make an impact not just on a local level or a regional level or a national level. She wants to take it planetary, global. Can I get a globe or a planetary in the comments? I mean, how's this feel? Now, this blows open the realm of possibility to the globe, right? Like, I want to help raise the positive vibration of the planet. Amy's helping make that happen every day in what she does. So the world really is our realm of possibility, the planet. So if you can help people understand that they can make an impact that big, that you can make an impact that powerful, how's that make you feel? Give me a feeling word in the comments. Come on, Alex, give me a feeling word. This just blows my mind. And I just get buzzed off the idea that people can make this kind of impact just by sharing their stories, because we see ourselves in each other's stories. We are each other's mirrors. That's a mirror. That we get to reflect back light, the amazingness that each of us holds inside, the greatness that burns inside of us. We get to share that with people. And light that fire, help spark that burn in them too. That's exciting. Who's excited about that? So, are you curious about how your perspective and your passion might meld together as your legend? What is your legend? You might want to think about that, because it involves a lot of things. It involves everything that you're passionate about. It involves everything that makes up your perspective and how you want to impact the world, how you want to affect the people that you most deeply connect with as your soulmate tribe. So getting aligned with your mission, connecting with your soulmate tribe, is the start. Unleashing your inner legend is the next step. So if you're curious at all what that might look like for you, I would love to hear your story. I get up in the morning ready to hear stories. My deal, like Amy Simpkins, when I was 12 years old, I couldn't get enough stories, and I've been a huge story lover ever since then. So if you don't share your story with me, I'm never going to know it, and maybe no one else is. So let's talk. Reach out to me. I'm all over the place on Facebook, Instagram, as Unleash Your Inner Author. Love to connect with you. Love to hear your story. Love to hear how it impacted you and how you saw yourself in these stories. So reach out. Let's do this connection thing that we're all about and connect as purpose pioneers. We're all in this to make an impact. And as I've always said, ever since I started doing the books with people and helping them unleash their inner author, I've said this phrase, and it's more important now than ever before, I think. Your story is not just important, it's urgent. So let that sink in. Thank you so much for letting me be here on the main stage. It's awesome to connect with you. I'm going to be checking the comments and everything that's gone on during this live. I'll check in with you guys and connect with you soon. I'll answer all those questions that you have. Looking forward to connecting with you. And I want to give a special shout out of gratitude to the Purpose Pioneers, Alex, Thomas, Dylan. Dylan has held my hand and walked me through this. So thank you so much, and let's connect.